Welcome to the Business Performance Podcast, where we feature expert thought leaders and cover their best strategies, stories, and advice that you can use to successfully mature your own business performance. Now, here is your host, business coach, Henry Schneider. Hello, everyone. This is Henry Schneider with the Business Performance Podcast, and today it's my pleasure to talk with Eric Rozenberg of SecuTix. It's a company here in the United States. It's a new branch that's based off of a company that's really big in Europe. Eric focuses on trust, straightforward talk, and fun. He also is author of a bestseller book on event and meeting business called Meeting at the Sea Level. So, Eric, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you, Henry. Good to see you.
Okay, so to begin with, would you please briefly describe SecuTix, your customers, and the kinds of products and services that you provide?
Sure. So SecuTix is a 18 years old startup here in North America and Latin America. It's part of the mother company is Elka, which is the largest IT integrator in Switzerland that works for Ministry of Defense, banks, insurance. So a lot of technology, a lot of experience. 18 years ago, this division was started, SecuTix, which is basically a SaaS solution which give the data to the venue. The venues own their data. We have an open API so we can plug in with any new technology. We have integrated blockchain as well in the delivery of the tickets. But at the end of the day, if you want to summarize this, we are helping organizers and venue to regain their independence. And that is really important in this day and age.
Okay, so when you talk about tickets, could you explain that? Because I'm thinking like service tickets, but I don't know if that's what you really mean.
So imagine you're a venue, you're a stadium, you're a sports team, you're a festival, you're a museum, performing arts center, or a city, and you basically have venues and you want to have the technology not only to sell a ticket for your attendees, but to understand who they are, to engage with them better, to make sure that the ticket is real, to make sure you know who's attending the venue. So all this technology today, we've developed an amazing technology the last 18 years, which is SaaS-based. So obviously the cost of infrastructure for our customer are much lower, and that's what we do.
Oh, okay. All right, that makes sense. So I guess then that kind of circumvents the scalpers. So if you
That's one of the things as well that the technology prevents. Absolutely. It's basically, you know that the ticket is real. And there's also, but without going into all the details, but as a venue, you can have your own secondary market if you want. You can define the rules through which a ticket can be sold to another person. So if you buy a ticket, you cannot attend, you want to sell it to me and give it to somebody else, I can define the rule as the venue. I could say, you know what, Henry, you can resell it at face value or maximum 10%, and you know that the ticket is real, plus all the technology in delivery on the mobile phone. It's very secure, so it's the future for sure.
Yeah, because that gets around that whole issue. Somebody standing outside giving you fake tickets, and you go in and you can't get in because there's no seats.
Right. Well, that remind me, when we were going to concert back in Brussels. And you didn't have any ticket, you want to get in. I would say that I was very lucky when the thing happened that I could buy the ticket just outside of the venue. Today, I'm not sure I would do that, for sure not. And the other thing as well, if you look at the fees that are charged sometimes, I remember going to see Bruce Springsteen here down in South Florida, and the service fee, well, I was the one doing everything, but the service fee I had to pay was exactly the price of the ticket I paid to see Prince in Brussels 30 years ago. So, there's a lot of things that need to be improved in the industry for sure.
So what about I remember when I was many years ago in graduate school, I was at Rice University in Houston, and we had the Super Bowl there.
Yeah.
I think it was the Dolphins and the Vikings, and they were, I forget who was losing, but this was like early on, and everybody was just leaving the stadium. They were handing your stubs, and I could walk back in. And I saw the end of the Super Bowl. So Can you do that with this? If somebody, if they leave, you can go in on their stub or?
Well, if you use the technology we have today, you could do that if you exchange, if the person is giving you the ticket, exchange the ticket with you through a platform which is secured by blockchain.
Oh, okay.
And that is very quick. So in theory, you could be doing that.
Hmm.
But I'm not sure, talking about the Dolphins, that you want to go to the Super Bowl, but they just won the first time this season. So
Yeah, so basically you just take your cell phone and you just kind of transfer the information.
it's extremely easy. It's basically you register on the platform, and then you have 3 levels of security if you want to. As I know you're very good in processes and technology, so you have 3 levels of security. The first one is we're going to ask your name, first name, and email or phone. That's really basic. The second one, we might ask you for more data. Your date of birth, your zip code, or address maybe, and even a little bit more information if you want to engage better with you or your family. And the third level is that we cross the information we have from you with a secure database that has been validated.
Okay.
So yeah, that security is obviously extremely important. If you take the 3 main concern that people have is fraud, as you mentioned.
Mm-hmm.
The second one you mentioned as well is security. Knowing that the ticket is real, but knowing that who's coming to the venue. And the third one really is the data collection. So in your example, you're in Houston, is the Super Bowl. I'm buying, you're the venue, and I'm buying 4 tickets to the Super Bowl, okay? You know my name.
Mm-hmm.
You have no idea who are the 3 person coming with me.
Right, yeah.
If you use the platform and the blockchain platform to basically get the ticket through secure mobile ticket, what's happening is that as the venue, you know me and you know the 3 people that I'm offering the tickets to, because they have to register to the platform. So not only is securing everything, but it's also giving all the data for the venue, and so they can engage obviously in the future with the people attending.
Okay. All right. So now as you go, since the company's been active and growing for the last 18 years in Europe, what's the importance of quality to what you're doing in terms of developing these platforms?
Quality, it's I remember the one say that, I think it was for British Airways, if you have 99.9% of great landing per year, that represent thousands of deaths. So quality is crucial. And obviously being a software and SaaS company and technology, it's extremely important. So we have 3 releases per year. We are a SaaS based, as mentioned. So in terms of quality, it's extremely important. Now, as you know, in software, every release, we make sure we do all the tests. We do all the verification before releasing a new version of the software. And we also ready, there's always some bugs that we can actually find a solution quickly so that it's not impacting the customer. Okay. Do we succeed 100% of the time? No, but we're very good in terms of supporting the client and making sure that they can sell their ticket and engage with their fan. And the other thing as well is the downtime that we have with the servers and everything is one of the best results that you can find in the industry. So yeah, quality is essential.
So where is your development team located then?
Mainly in Europe and in Asia, that we have a coordination over there. Historically speaking, with the mother company as well. The mother company is a 1,500 employee company. So it's very solid, and we are benefiting from their experience, the technology that they're developing. And also, I think the other thing which is important as well to understand is that because we're SaaS-based and we have one and only one version of the software, regardless of the verticals, any development that is made in one vertical is benefiting the rest of the customer at the next release. So I'll give you one example. 6-7 years ago, 3D seat map became something like, wow. Basically, you're in front of your computer, you're selecting your seat in the stadium, and on your computer, you could see what you're going to see when you're going to be seated.
Ah, okay, yeah.
Okay, so it was a big new approach. So we partner with people that are extremely good in that specific technology. Through our own API, we can connect easily. And then at the next release, theater and opera could benefit from that technology as well.
Mm-hmm. What are like one or two of the biggest misconceptions that are out there in the marketplace in terms of securing tickets?
Oh, in terms of secure ticket, well, first of all, people sometimes think that it's complicated to implement. They've been using their own system for 10, 15, 20 years. It's the comfort zone. Is, oh my God, not only that, but my job's going to be on the line if I change system. And actually, you know what? We're so used to it. There's so many venues that we're working with that accompanying the customer through the change is something that we're very good at. But the misconception is, oh, it's going to be too complicated, it's going to take too much time, or it's going to be too expensive, where we don't have time, I guess, to get into the details now, but I can show you that it's going to actually make you a lot of money. But the first misconception is that it's difficult to change, where change, of course, is always stressing. But we have all the process in place. We have experience in that. So that's the first thing. The second thing really is that people, and I had conversation with some people say, why do I need blockchain? Why do we need to do that? And if you look at what happened in terms of the secure ticket, whether it's fake ticket that you buy, you go with your entire family and you don't have access, or as we've seen in the concert with a famous artist, when there's, unfortunately in the world we live in, an attack or something, it's very important to secure that. Now, how you do it, it's through the technology, is using the technology to serve people. But people said, oh, I'm not sure that we need the blockchain. I said, listen, remember the first time you bought something on the internet with your credit card and you were afraid to put your credit card number in the internet? Today, you just click and it's delivered to your house. It's automatic. This is exactly what is going to happen with blockchain. It's not only ticketing, it's impacting different parts of our lives, and it's the future. So that's a misconception, if you want, that people have about that.
Okay. So is there also a threat of eliminating jobs by using your tool set, or is it just it makes things easier?
Well, eliminating I wouldn't say eliminating jobs. I would say shifting jobs.
Okay.
It's, for everything that you use technology, is it going to replace human being at some stage for some specific element? Sure, but it's creating other jobs and other new jobs that thanks to the technology. So that's for sure. So some part of the customer journey will be affected, and other would be created new jobs. So what is going to be at the end, neutral, positive, negative, I can't tell, but it's not like a negative sum, for sure not.
Okay. So, so how do you get people over those fears or misconceptions? How do you make them understand that what they're thinking about is not real?
It's my fight every morning. I think you need to explain. And also, there was something when before we start in the US and before we start having success here, there was this fear of, oh, you're doing those great things in Europe. Oh, you're working for the Stade de France, the Opera of Paris, the Pompidou Museum, the Champions League. Wow. Who do you work with in the US? I say, guys, this is cloud-based. It doesn't matter. And as we know, it does matter. So now that we have those references, that's obviously helping. We have also a major partner in the US that we're working with. And at the end of the day, it's explaining, it's making sure that people know about your great technology, what it helps, the pains it's solving in the ticketing industry and for venues and organizer. And at the end of the day, it's always the same thing. But when you are faced with something new, you need the pioneers that understand what's coming next, that want to have their life, make it more easy in terms of managing their audience and being able to engage better with their fans. So a lot of explanation and basically making sure that people know what we do. And on last point on that, that the whole group, the mother company, was bought by a group of entrepreneurs over 4 years ago. And what they discovered at that time was that SecuTix was made of 2 salespeople and 80 engineers. So nothing against the engineers. There's a lot of engineers in my family, but marketing and sales are sometimes very dirty words for engineers.
Sure.
So that's what we are also investing a lot on.
Okay. All right. So could you share a story how you helped some company or, I guess even a client overcome these obstacles and succeed?
Yeah. So one example I have in mind is the festival, about Pokemon Go festival, that needed to sell tickets. Something that we did with our partner Experian Merits here in the U.S. And what happened is that they need to sell 45,000 tickets. And believe it or not, until this day, Pokemon is extremely popular. Mm-hmm. And so we needed to make sure that not only there was a fair way of people that they can apply for the tickets, but also making sure the system was not crashing. Because up to we sold the 45,000 tickets were sold in one day. But at one time, we had over 26,000 people willing to buy a ticket at the same time. Wow. So you as an expert in the field, you would understand that a lot of system would crash.
Oh, yeah.
And we have this thing called Peak Protect, which basically provides the system from crashing. And we were able to deliver all the tickets. Everything was sold in one day, and the client was extremely happy.
Yeah, that's interesting. That reminds me, I'm really going to date myself now, but back when I was much younger, George Harrison was going to give the concert for Bangladesh in Madison Square Garden, and everybody went, and the whole system crashed. Nobody could get tickets. And then they were all gone.
Yeah. Yeah, and there's so many things. It's buying the tickets, it can crash. I believe it was U2 last year in Vancouver or 2 years ago that had an issue because the access control was taking a lot of time and was not properly set. So the concert started with people still waiting outside. Oh. So if you look, you cannot look at only the ticketing. And people sometimes saying, oh yeah, you just need to print a ticket. What could be so complicated with that? Well, again, go back to who you want to help. You want to help the attendees, the fans, and you want to help the venues. So in the customer journey, there's so many different touch points where the ticketing technology comes into place. And that's where we're very good at. It's by the way, we are a white label. So we're not promoting our brand at all. We're there to serve our client. We're behind the curtain. But we're making sure that we sit down with them to understand exactly the whole process, the whole customer journey, and then we're providing the technology at the right time, at the right moment, so it's going to help and serve them better.
Okay. Yeah, it sounds very similar to what the airlines do with them, getting boarding passes and. So is that
something is similar. By the way, dynamic pricing is also something which is totally similar with airlines. And I would say the airlines know a lot about you, but they don't know as much as what a venue could know about you in terms of ticketing and making sure that they engage better with you and don't have the same, you get into the plane and they go, don't do this, don't do that. You have to do this, you have to do that. And by the way, welcome on board. And at the end of the flight, 30 minutes before landing, you have all this advertisement for a credit card XYZ. It's very generic. That is definitely not tailor-made. The experience is terrible. I'm not even talking about passing security. Yeah. But if you look then in terms of ticketing, I want to receive information on what interests me or what interests my family. I don't want to have a bulk email that is giving me all the next shows that are coming to town where 90% of it I'm not interested in. I want a personalized experience, and that's as a customer. And that's where technology, in this case, SecuTix and ticketing, has to come and support that customer journey.
So that brings up some other interesting topics. So are you then using AI and ML to kind of do the data analytics to personalize the experience?
Yes, definitely. So we actually have a CRM integrated in the solution. And again, whether is it AI, via whatever's coming, we have decided that we are focusing on technology and software. We don't want to become a distributor. We're only focusing on technology and software.
Mhm.
That means that any new technology we would like to integrate. Can you have a department of research and development that can do that? Well, in theory, yes, but you would probably need 5,000 people
Right.
with everything's going on. So we found the most effective, cost-effective, and really in terms of integration, very easy solution is through our open API.
Mhm.
And so whether it's, as I gave you the example earlier on with 3D seat map, or is going to be dynamic pricing or a future AI, face recognition, whatever it is, we look at what are the best people we could partner with. And through our open API, then we connect with them and we provide this technology to our client.
Mhm. Okay, great. All right. So what are some of the common pitfalls or mistakes that you need to keep in mind as you start going through and trying to provide the software as a service?
Huh. You mean as a developer?
Yeah, so as a company, not so much the customer side, but internally, what are you doing? What are the common pitfalls?
Well, what we need to always balance is what our client are requesting on an individual basis versus what is the development that can benefit the majority of our customers. So instead of focusing on just our top 10 clients and only serving them and the rest of the customer, it's like take it or leave it. If you don't like it, it's my way or the highway. What we try to do is always gathering the needs of our customers and also being proactive and see what's coming into the market so we can integrate that. So it's a balance. Obviously, sometimes you need to hire more people and train them to be able to deliver. But I would say the first major pitfall is to make sure that we are always developing the solution, but before anything else, making sure that we're serving all our customers, the majority of them, with development that can benefit everyone. And then specifically, if something happened for a customer that we need to develop, then look about the resources. And as you know, it's not like plug and play.
Yeah.
Those are people and individuals that are developers. So they need to be trained, they need to understand the solution and work on it. So it's not something that is happening overnight.
Yeah. So if you could, I guess I'm going to give like a what if example. So what if you have like a customer, let's say Ticketmaster, for example. They want to have a very specific capability that nobody else wants and all. So what do you do with that? Do you give it to them or you say, sorry, that doesn't integrate with the rest of our client base or what?
Well, in your particular case, it's a competitor.
Mhm.
And I know it's the big elephant in the room,
Yeah.
but actually what we do is with them on others. I give you the example of Stade de France, which has over 85,000 seat for a concert of Coldplay, for instance. What the venue decided is to give a certain number of tickets to the company you just mentioned, have another number of tickets to another distributor, and the remaining of the ticket that they believe they could sell themselves, do it themselves. So that's how we operate. Now, the question is, if one customer would come and say, we need to have that developed. So we look at our roadmap, we look at what is planned in the future. Maybe it's already planned and we can serve them, or maybe it's not. And then obviously it's a question of how many hours of development we believe that's going to involve, what is the cost of it, and decide with the customer which part they're taking themselves because it's unique, or which part we are taking because we believe we can help more customer with that request. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, I think so. I think I'm getting a better idea now too. Is basically you work with the venue itself. So like you go to like the opera house or the sports stadium,
Correct,
to do this, and then the tickets go through like Ticketmaster or other companies.
No, we're not a distributor. We're the software technology. So if in theory the venue can sell all the tickets themselves with our technology, they can create their secondary market themselves if they want to.
Okay.
They can use the CRM if they want to.
Okay.
So that's really the solution that we're providing to help the venue, as I said earlier on, to help the venue sell the ticket, but regain their independence.
Oh, okay, okay.
You know, at the end of the day, there's something that I want to mention. I was speaking with a friend in the theater in Chicago, and he was telling me, yeah, but you know, the ticket distributors, they're helping us sell the ticket. I said, really? So who's coming to your theater in Chicago? Are people flying from LA, New York, Washington, and Miami? Say, no. They are in a circle of maybe 40, 50 miles away, max. So I look at him and said, don't you think you can rebuild your own database in 6 months and be able to interact with people? So the business logic is there.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the perception and the emotional aspect of people think that it's going to be much more difficult than what it is in reality, it's still a blocker.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So that makes more sense. And so I guess, so to reframe my question then, so if you go like to, I don't know, Wolf Trap, for example, and they come up with some very specific requirements for what you want, and nobody else in your customer base wants that at all, what do you do with that?
Well, you know, first of all, nobody else wants to do that. It's very rare. Everybody thinks that their request is unusual.
Yes.
So there must be a part of it, or there might be a part of it which is already delivered or will be delivered. Mm-hmm. But if this is really something which is specific to them, then we'll sit down with them and say, how fast do you need that? Is it preventing you from operating? Probably not, but that would be a nice thing to have. Okay. How many hours and how much would it cost? And then we sit down with the customer and decide what we want to be doing.
Okay. All right. Okay. Thank you. So now, let's see here. So what defining moment, we talked about this before we started, led you to be where you are today?
Mm-hmm.
So tell us about your grandfather and his journey.
Yeah, that was definitely a defining moment in my life. So my grandfather came from Russia. The village was Russian or Polish, to Belgium to study civil engineer, and was afterwards arrested by the Nazi, and then jumped out of a train that would have taken him to Auschwitz. And he hid, and he had an amazing life. That's actually was on the 1st of November. So we're always celebrating that with the family. So that is an inspiration to me. And you know, you can be lamenting, say it's sad, it's horrible. And what happened in the history, it's definitely horrible. At the end of the day, that's why I say we need to fight. So I raised my children. But it's really an inspiration of whatever happens to you in life, you move forward, you find solution. And so when I have some hard days and things are not going the way I wish they would, I think about him and I said, okay, no complaints. Move forward. But the other things that we spoke about, the defining moment in life, it is the serendipity of life. The meeting, you don't know the people you're meeting, what's going to happen in the future. And the reason I'm now working and opening SecuTix now in North America and Latin America, it happened that 25 years ago, through a student organization called ISEC, I met a lot of people, and one of them became a friend, and we had the opportunity to work together in the past. And he knew me, and he got involved in this project, and so that's how I'm here today. So the people you're meeting in your life, you never know what's going to happen, and so it's I think I'm always smiling when I hear people's history, because everybody has got a story like that, where something happened, they meet somebody, and then, you know, that's what life is all about. So
yeah, I was just talking with a friend of mine several years ago, and he said, you know, I reflect back on life, and where I am today is the result of a whole series of decisions that I made all through.
Correct.
that direction's path.
You know, and I've worked over 20 years in the meetings and event industry. I was extremely involved in that industry, and the contact I've made already are helping me for the ticketing part. Mm-hmm. So you know, it's as I said, Forrest Gump was Belgian. As he said, life is like a box of chocolate. You never know what you're going to get.
Yes, very good. So could you share an experience that you had early on that still influences how you approach business today?
Oh, yeah. I mean, several ones. I did a lot of work. I worked one summer between 2 years at the business school as a blue collar pulling cable. That was an amazing experience, and seeing also what it is, and understand and respecting people. I've worked in restaurant, and you see as well psychology of the customer and who people are, and I think one that has really impacted me is I actually did a season at the Club Med,
Oh,
and I was a GO for children. We were two, and we were taking care of 40 children between 4 and 8 years old.
oh
And
wow.
if you miss one, you will be, as they say in French, charterisé, charterized, basically put in the plane and back home. And at that time, there was not even one day of holidays per week. It was nonstop working for the entire season.
Wow.
And I learned a lot about people management. I learned a lot about customer service. And I learned a lot about hard working. And that is definitely helping me always trying to do everything you can to the customer, respecting people, and also making sure that the customer are respecting your team, not you specifically, but your team.
Yeah. So you'd be a good development manager because they're like a bunch of kittens themselves, and
I don't know about that, but
okay. So what does success look like for Eric Rozenberg today?
My kids,
Mm-hmm.
being moving to the US 6 years ago, and seeing them being so well integrated. I think my wife and I are very proud of the success they're having and how they're thriving in life,
Mm-hmm.
which is amazing. That's definitely personal basis, and hopefully being healthy. I have this friend. His name is Jason Gaignard, and he's taking this question from another friend, Joe Coleman, always asking if we have to meet in 1 year and celebrate something with a bottle of champagne, what it would be.
Uh-huh.
And to me is that my family is healthy,
Mm.
and then obviously is making sure that SecuTix is enjoying even more success, that more customers, that the more venues know about what we're doing, that at least they research us, and that they see all the pain we're curing for them, and that we are developing business, having more people in the team here, and supporting more customer.
Okay. So could you share some measurable outcomes that you've seen since you've started with SecuTix here in the United States?
In terms of customers, of the
Well,
team.
I know in terms of number, growth of customers, growth of business. I mean, anything that you're free to share.
Oh, sure. So as I told you, we are 18 years old startup.
Mm-hmm.
So we basically officially started at the beginning of 2019. And we're now with 6 people in the office in Boca with professional service, customer support, and onboarders. And we now have a plan for doubling the team in 2020. We have an amazing partnership with Experian Merits, where it's a housing and registration company.
Mm-hmm.
And they immediately understood something that the market hasn't understood fully yet, is that registration and ticketing are 2 totally different things.
Mm-hmm.
Don't have the time to go into the detail, but it's really 2 different things. And so they are also using us for helping the customer, and basically using the ticketing solution for their customer. And then we also have clients in Latin America that we're happy to serve. And we have the Teatro Colón in Buenos Aires. And we have in Colombia, for instance, the Movistar Arena, the new arena in Bogota. And we have about 16 soccer teams that are shifting to the platform at the end of this year. So, sales is extremely important.
Mm-hmm.
And as you know, processes and procedure are essential for that. Before anything else, you need to serve the customer you have. So the first part of success for me is making sure that we are delivering on those customers, and then we are expanding our customer base.
Okay. So since you've been kind of operating here in the U.S. now since January, what are your top 3 process or capability challenges or concerns that you're currently faced with?
That's a good question. Why would you ask a question on processes, you of all people?
I have no idea.
The first one was making sure that we have the support here in terms of time zone,
Mm-hmm.
and that we are able to serve our customers on their time zone, which it's a great achievement. The second one in terms of processes is understanding as well the difference between the needs for our customer here than for our customer in Europe. Sometimes the market is different. A museum, for instance, in Europe are heavily subsidized. This is not the case here. So that also adapting to the market. And the third one, I would say, it's probably my accent in English. So I know that England and US are 2 countries divided by the same language. But still, I have to make sure that in terms of the processes, we have the right US English version, which is still work in progress. At least they understand the system. Even if sometimes they don't understand me, they understand the system. Which is
well, they don't speak it correctly over there anyhow. So do you have to worry, I guess, in Europe, I mean, with the SecuTix, you have to worry about the GDPR? I mean, that seems...
Oh, yeah, definitely. Absolutely. Oh, yeah. We are totally compliant with GDPR, which is, it's, again, some venues here would say, well, why should I worry about GDPR? Well, we start having clients coming from Europe, you might be worried about it. But at the end of the day, if you are already compliant with GDPR, which is the most restrictive law in terms of privacy and data in the world. So you might as well enjoy working with a company which is fully compliant with GDPR.
Okay. All right. So what is your personal philosophy? We talked a little bit about that.
Well, I'm a big fan of Star Wars and Yoda. So I've always been saying this, but do or do not. There is no try. And I don't really, when people say, I'm going to try, I say, no, don't try. Just do it. And the second one, which lead to which actually comes from that, it's really a sentence that I try to live by, whether it's business-wise in my private life: lead, follow, or get out of the way.
Yeah. So now, when you start talking to different arenas and venues, what's the most important question they should be asking when they consider SecuTix and what you offer?
I think that even before they consider SecuTix, they should be asking themselves what they're doing. What are their major pain? What would it look like for them to own their data, to be able to sell in a multi-channel distribution, to be able to use the technology to fight fraud, the bots and the scalpers and everything, to fight security and secure their venue, and basically own their data. That, I think, to me, it's a no-brainer for any venue in 2019 and beyond. Now, having said that, then if this is important to them, then they should look at what's available in the market. And yes, they will quickly find out that they need to talk to us. But of course, we're ready. And of course, we want to talk to as many venues as possible. But before anything else, they should look at what is best for them and what are the pain they're trying to cure. Okay,
good. All right. So now this may be a little unfair since you've really only been working here for a short period of time. But if, based on what you've learned over the past several months and your experience over the years, if you had to start things over from scratch, what would you do differently?
In terms of opening the company here?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Well, it's I maybe spend even a little bit more time looking into the processes that some venues have compared to Europe. But even that, I mean, we are very similar and adapt to it. I think that maybe the one thing is the expectation in terms of results. It took a lot of time with sometimes things that we were not even thinking about. If you would ask me the top 10 challenges to open the US, I would have told you that opening a bank account would have not made the top 10. And it was like, oh my God, you're a company owned by a Swiss company. Ooh. Yeah, so the whole due diligence, some of the banks didn't want to even talk to us. They're afraid of it. But at the end of the day, we find a solution. So yeah, I think that, when you go into a market, there's three solutions. You grow organically, you find a partner, or you buy an existing player. And so we did our homework, we defined our strategy, and I think that sometimes, you always want to go faster than you're actually going. But we're very pleased with the result and being solidly now existing in US and Canada and Latin America.
Okay, great. So Eric, we can just keep talking and talking, but we're running out of time, and I want to honor your time as well. So you've been a fantastic storyteller. Thank you so much. I really enjoyed your advice, especially with Yoda, do or do not. There is no try. So thank you.
Thank you very much, Henry.
Thank you so much for tuning into this episode of the Business Performance Podcast with your business coach, Henry Schneider. For more episodes and business strategies, please visit welcome.ppqc.net/blog. That's www.welcome.ppqc.net/blog. And remember to subscribe so you can get the latest episodes. Thank you.